All right, man, we got our season tickets that went on sale at xfl.com/tickets. Let's go out. Again, like I said last year, the more fan support we get, the more exciting it is. As you can see with the DC game last year, good things happen. And I'm looking forward to even pushing that more and having some stuff, events this year down there, the Orlando Guardian events that we can get the fans out. So that's kind of where that's at. What we've been doing this off season has been changing the roster, just getting better players, getting bigger, faster, stronger. Switch some things up on the offensive staff, defensive staff, just overall. We just had our combine, which is some very good players available there. We have that draft coming up in a week or so. So we'll be able to add some more players to the roster from that draft. So very, very excited about what's happening in the offseason with the growth of everybody, the organization, the league, just excited about the future and what it holds.
Hey, Coach Buckley, always great to see you. Thank you for joining us. All right. So can you give us a kind of like a synopsis of how 1,400 players get evaluated at the combine or at the other showcases so they get a chance to get signed?
Well, it's one of those things. You obviously have 8 teams. The teams have personnel guys. And so we have I have this computer through XOs, and we sit up leading up into the showcases or the combines, and we write up every player. It is a daunting task, but everybody has to be involved. I might sign myself 50 players. DPP Larry might sign 50 players. The offensive coordinator, defense coordinator, and we just start. Then from there, the position coach, hey, I need you to look at these 50 receivers, and we just go through that process, and then get together. Give us, let's say, 2 to 3 weeks to get it done. And you evaluate and see, well, who's the top guys? Okay, I need 20 receivers at this spot. I need 20 DBs. We need 30 defensive linemen, 30 offensive linemen. Let's get those guys and let's evaluate those guys together as a group and try to narrow them down to what do we need. Just imagine this year what I wanted us to do is look at our stats from last year. Were we not good at the good, the bad, the ugly? And let's make sure we take care of the ugly first. What position is that? What do we need? Okay, look around the league. Where were we at? Sometimes you can over-evaluate it and look at yourself and say, oh my gosh, we were that bad. And then when you start comparing yourself to the other teams, it could be, yes, you were, or it's the other way. Majority of the time was we're not as bad as you thought. We still were bad. It wasn't ugly, it was bad. How can we improve? That's how you get the 1,400 players. I know that's a long way to get to that point, but it's a process.
I say, Coach, welcome back as well.
Thank you.
So one of the questions is, I did see a write-up of someone said that 90% of the people that was at the combine could have made the XFL last year. So my question to you is, what advice would you give to some of these athletes who are not going to get selected? What advice would you give to those athletes to encourage them and keep them going?
Keep working. It's one of those things that sometimes it's not your time. We have a partnership with the IFL. Go play, be seen, get some additional tape. It could be a bunch of situations. It could be that particular player position is just filled up and you don't have room. And you're still young enough. Keep training, stay in the best shape of your life. And when that opportunity knocks at the door, you can open it.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good. How you doing?
You, when you were a player, were evaluated using the traditional scouting methods. Now you're using the catapult system. We're using more analytics based. Tell me your experience this past week with the new system, how it's different for you.
Well, it's different in that you don't, one thing is you don't, one day we didn't even have to watch 40. We just watched the build up. You got the 10 to 20, and then you start measuring that with the vertical jump, and you measuring the power. Yeah, this power equals this type of speed. You know, you go through all that, and doing the traditional way, you're like, no, I want to see the clock. I want to see the end results. But then if you really go back to it, even the old way, you can tell if somebody's tired. You can tell if they're not strong. All of us watched this fight this weekend with Spencer and Crawford. And I could, Spence, the first round, I'm saying, man, he looks tired. He don't look very strong. Then I look over there at Bud, and it's like, wow, he looks bigger than I ever dreamed he would look, and he looks strong. So that's how the combine stuff we just did last week, how it can be used to help you in the future, to help you evaluate players on where their needs are they strong, are they got a shade, all the things that says he can help you.
Coach Steve Wilson again, always good to see you. How are you, sir?
Good.
Good. You mentioned a few minutes ago evaluating the good, the bad, and the ugly. How challenging was it to identify the bad and the ugly? Because, you know, for instance, you have a defensive line, one player might be playing real well, but his teammate may miss an assignment. All of a sudden, everybody looks bad. Was it a challenge to really say, this player just isn't who we need?
Well, that's where you have to gather all the data. And it took me probably anywhere from about 5 weeks to get all the data from the league. And watching like the championship game helped. That was 2 weeks. Seeing the injuries. Once you put all that together, the continuity of the guys, like you just said, you can zero down to where was the position, where was the ball hitting on defense, and then you do a percentage. Okay, it hit here 25% of the time. Okay, how many tackles did we miss? You know, I almost felt like we was the worst tackling team in the league. Then you look at the stats, we're in the middle of the pack. It's how you're missing the tackles. You look at like the offensive line, and you're like, okay, what made us bad at the offensive line? Pre-snap penalties, certain plays. You know, how many pressures, how many times did the quarterback get hit? You go defensively, how many sacks did we have? Okay, you look at the tape. You go back and look at the game. Was it one-on-one? Was guys getting double teamed? Were we not aggressive enough? So you can, if you take the time and really do your due diligence, you can pinpoint and find those areas where you need to improve.
Coach, you had the draft, and then you had the combine. You know, I'm excited. I'm already ready for the next season.
Don't forget the free agent draft too. We had a free agent
draft as well. So how excited are you for this upcoming season? You know, knowing what you saw, what you had an opportunity to do a lot of these different things to prepare for the upcoming season. How excited are you and your coaching staff?
Just keep in mind, I was very, very excited last year, but not aware of what it took in the league. Obviously, we had a bunch of players that hadn't played in a long time, and you assign coaches to do certain things, right? Well, obviously that didn't work the way we wanted to last year. And we felt like with the changes that have been made from talent perspective and how we're scouting and how we're meeting and everybody, you know, getting on that same page, it's just that one year to the second year is so different with that I'm trying to curb my enthusiasm. But I'm very, very excited because we understand now what the league is about, what is expected, what is it going to take. And we have a new slogan too, the Guardian Way. So everything that we're moving forward, we're very excited about it. And we just feel we want you guys to see the product versus talking about it all the time.
Coach, and along those lines, how different is a team going to look for somebody who's interested in getting season tickets from the end of last season to this season with players and coaches?
It might look very different for somebody that's just coming on board. They might not be able to tell the difference. The guys last year, it could be a 65-70% change with the players, coaches, things. It's a few coaches along with just changing of roles on the staff. So it would look like we were 1-9 and then finish with the changes we're making.
Coach, with this year being the first year, you're going to have a 90-man training camp roster. The cuts are finally really coming into play. I found out the hard way as a head coach, the hardest thing to do is cut players knowing it could be the last time they ever suit up. How are you preparing yourself knowing that 40-plus guys are going to have to get cut when you cut down to your final roster?
Well, here's the difference between the learning experience between the first-year head coach and the second, right, as you grow. That I understand that. They should understand that. So we had our first team meeting yesterday. That was the first thing I mentioned. So there's no surprise to anybody. These are certain, then laid out the process. These are certain criteria that you have to meet. If you don't meet them, this is what's going to happen. And then you assign where I don't have to do all of it. You know, like you probably had to do it first. Like, I want to do it. Then you assign different people to handle things. But just let them know this is a business. We have 90-man roster. Only 66 can come to camp. Only 50 can actually suit up for the season. And then suit up meaning on game day only 44 or 45, depending on what the league decides. So it's a part of the business. It's a part of what we have to do. And I've accepted that and realized that now I need to pass that on to the players.
Coach, we're in early August, as you know, and it seems like to me we're a long ways off before the start of the season. As a coach, do you feel like it's a long way to go, or your day's so full that it's going to get here in a hurry?
Well, it's getting in a hurry. You'd asked me this, say a month ago, I would have said yes. But now after this combine and having to trim this roster, and one of the things they're allowing us to do, you know, have mini camps now. So we have to start to get organized on certain things. We have to start trimming the roster down. As you select players, it's a unique situation where you add players, but you also have to release some players, which it's tough in its way, but it's a part of the business. And now that I see football, I've been watching the NFL camps. I might be going to one next week. Several of our coaches are in camps right now. So it feels like it's upon us.
And you mentioned that there's going to be a difference in that there's going to be, training camp, so to speak. Can you elaborate a bit more on that? Will it be open to the public, or is it just going to be private?
Well, we're working on it. I think for you guys and some season ticket holders and everybody, we're looking to do something in Orlando. Obviously, you guys are more than welcome to come out there. But for the general fan, that probably won't happen. We want to make sure that as an organization that everybody's out there has a vested interest in it.
We'll have more to come on all that stuff soon. So,
hey, Coach, this is Peter Burke down in West Palm.
I like that background, man.
I thought you might.
Hey,
I'm a fellow.
You can take long as you want.
I actually had a question for you regarding another Seminole that you guys recently acquired on your roster, Travis Rudolph, and I apologize, I wasn't here for the very beginning. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about that process. Obviously, he was in the news for things that had happened, and he was acquitted recently, and so I just kind of wanted to get your take, like, about giving people second chances and giving people the opportunity, and I was hoping maybe you could walk me through that process a little bit.
Well, you said the second chance. That really wasn't us, that was a court of law. You know, we were a nation of laws, and let's say innocent till proven guilty, and he went to court, and all the stuff came out, and it you know, I'm not one of those people that judge, but everybody said it shouldn't have been there. We got this thing self-defense and all that. So once that was cleared up and the league said everything was fine, he's done what he had to do in the court of law, he's available. And obviously he's a tremendous player that could help us. That's what we looked at and decided to go. And we're so happy and pleased that that he's a member of our organization right now.
Were there any reservations at all about it? Just, you know, that you might be subject to a little bit of criticism, maybe, for people will always formulate opinions, you know, right or wrong. And I, you know, did you kind of anticipate that maybe that there might be some resistance to that?
Well, that's the whole thing is you go through the legal department of the league, let them decide. But my thing is everybody, we watching something now with our former president. And so you go through the legal system, and once they decide that, okay, nothing happened, here we are, then I think as a society, that's what we've always done, is that's been decided. We don't want somebody's life to be ruined over something that he was defending himself or he was accused wrongly. That's how I felt about it. That's how I presented it. And the league did their part. I cannot speak for them and what they decided, why they decided the way they did. But here we are. Obviously, I'm very pleased about the decision. And from what I heard doing my background check, well, you couldn't ask for a better person, a better student, a better teammate. And sometimes a couple of things happens to you that is not a reflection of you, and you just need another opportunity to show that.
Thank you, Coach. Go Noles.
Go Noles. You see, I got my man, you see Xavier Rose in the background.
I like that. I was going to say, it's good looking background you got there.
Yeah, it's a great, this is one of them. I have a bunch of jersey. Zach Thomas is going to the Hall of Fame. So I have my count 9 or 10 Hall of Fame jerseys that I have that's on the wall that I'm pretty excited about.
Yeah, Coach, was there a showcase or HBCU or any one of these showcases that stood out to you that you probably enjoyed the most?
Oh man, all of them. The first one, we had one here in Atlanta, HBCU showcase. They had a lot of talent. Then I went over to, I think, Georgia State. They had one in the combines and getting the reports from the other ones. Anytime you get young men come out there that's in shape, that's ready, that has some football IQ, that will compete, and they are just as excited as you can't be mad at that. You can't go wrong. So I would say all of them because of the commitment, the desire, and the effort that these young men gave.
Yeah, and I guess people always reach out to me. They, you know, I even talked to Andy about this, about joining the XFL. Can you give somewhat of an idea of how many players that showed up will actually be on an XFL roster?
Oh man, Andy might know the percentage is very high. There might be, I'm just throwing out a number. It could easily be half now. From this combine, we did the showcase, and then from that you get invited to the combine. And I'm telling you, it was a bunch of good players out there. I would say the number is probably going to be between, I say half, it could be more realistic, 20%, 20-30%.
And that'll all depend too on whether you're talking about a 90-man roster or whether you're talking about a roster at the beginning of the season too. So there's a lot of ways to look at that. But the key there is, like Coach said, there was a lot of talent then.
Yeah, that is astonishing that there was so much talent, you know, showing up to showcases, which brings me to that question of, before a player shows up, do you have a write-up on them or have any knowledge about them before the combine or the showcase they show up there?
Yes, we don't have the full roster, but you do have an idea because sometimes you talk to a player too. And so I would say if like the HBCU, I probably knew about 25 of the guys that were going there. So you go in mind looking for those guys. And then from there, so if every coach, every organization is doing that, that's how you get, I feel like, the talent of the young men that's showing up, because every person in the organization is working, trying to get the best talent for the league and then for yourself. So that's why the turnout, I think, is pretty impressive.
Coach, I had the good fortune to interview Lucky Ayovi the week before the workout. How do you feel his workout went?
I feel like it was awesome. And I saw your thing about Lucky. I couldn't respond. I didn't want to give it away. There's a lot of competition going on too between these with us, right? You don't want to let nobody know why you coming. Lucky looked good. He looked actually better than I thought he would look at this stage from having not played, right? I mean, it looked like he just got through playing. Very impressed with the way he ran, the way he moved. Obviously, there's some things he can improve on, but overall, he did a very good job.
Yeah, Coach.
Anything else, guys?
Yeah, when it comes to evaluating players, I know that, some guys don't run the best 40, but they actually can still really play, wide receiver or something like that. Is that put into play with evaluating someone too?
Yes, you can't just do the speed and the measurables, right? One of the things, we did a lot of that last year. We've kind of backed off that as like the final decision. We have to finish games. We have to get playmakers. And so that's been the top priority this year. If you compare his physical component, his testing things, the grade that matters the most, that gives a higher grade, is what does his tape look like? Does he make plays? Does he finish? Can he finish? Yes, he can finish. Okay, he gets another star, because we need guys to finish.
And lastly, is there anything that you've learned yourself from maybe another coach during the evaluation period that may have helped you from last year and this year to, do better this time around?
Well, we're always learning. Yes, I would say, like I told you guys, probably in the middle of camp last year, I realized that certain parts of what we had was not going to be good, and we tried to make changes. We don't have a lot. You don't have a lot of transaction power once the season starts. So this year, between talking to some of the other head coaches, the DPPs, all guys that are still coaching in college and pros that watch some of our games, wrote all that down. Like I told you, I personally took 5 to 6 weeks, and just evaluated everything, took on some extra knowledge, asked guys, read some different books to figure out, okay, again, the ugly, the good, the bad. What can we do better? What can I do better? How can we get better as an organization? And put all that together into reshaping, remaking this team. Again, if we could have finished and been more disciplined, you're talking about one win, just what we had, especially at the end of last year, 1 win to turn into 4 wins. You see what Arlington did. We actually felt like we could have beat Arlington and been in that position. So we have some good vibes about last year. The record doesn't show how much we improved. Now, bring in some additional talent, change some things structural, schematically, different mindset, and let's go prove and show our worth.
Time for 1 or 2 more if you guys got them. Otherwise, we can let Coach go. Good? Awesome. Buck, thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it, man. Anytime you guys need something, just let me know. If not, I'll see you guys soon, hopefully in October.
Sounds good.
Appreciate it,
Thanks,
Coach.
Coach.
Appreciate
Thank
you,
you.
Coach.
Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
That is right.